It's hot in here now.
It really is warm.
Coming off that screen.
Is it?
Aye.
Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Alison McConnell, delighted to be joined by Scott Allan and Alan Rough. So Scott, a big change for you this summer?
Yeah, it has been obviously announced my retirement I think about a month ago now, and to be fair I've been living life since then.
Quite nice, not going through the rigours of pre-season. It's been a warm July too.
It has, yeah. Listen, part of me obviously turned up to train, you can join in the fun bits, so the bits of passing, the rondos, a wee bit of games and missed out the running. It has been a change, but listen, it was a well thought out decision. I think obviously you look back at your career and you can be very proud of some of the moments, but I think now was probably the right time for me to call it a day.
I take it you would have come to that conclusion long before the end of last season?
Yeah, listen, I still had offers to play. I just felt in terms of getting real enjoyment for the game it was a case of looking forward to me in terms of what's next in my career, whether that be in media and coaching. So I felt it was the best decision all round.
Do you feel as though you retired at the right time, Roughie?
I try to keep going as long as possible. I think Scott would agree. You know, I had a great time with Partick Thistle and Hibs, but then going to Celtic sort of had you up there playing at a big club, and then after that it's just downhill. You know, and no disrespect to, I went to Hamilton for I think it was 4 or 5 months, and I was at Ayr for a year, and then I went into management with Glenafton, and I still wanted to play. I just couldn't not play. I started playing in goals for Glenafton. It was only for a year. It just then you have to decide, you know, that the level that you were at and the level you're at now, there's just something missing when you get that buzz of playing in front of 50, 60,000 people. It's just, it's a big exit in your life.
An emotional decision, Scott?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it was emotional. I think Roughie kind of hits the nail on the head there. I think football to me, by the time I'd obviously got to my mid-20s, turning up and obviously having a crowd, I think the motivation levels are through the roof. You obviously, when you come down the levels, you don't have the same crowds, and it's a wee bit more harder to motivate yourself to play. So I think that was kind of the main factor, and as I said previously about what was next for me, I think it's time to look forward. And by the way, everybody says play as long as you can, but for me I think you want to play as long as you can if you're still really enjoying.
The good thing for Scott now, he's went to a club now and he's still in that environment of the banter.
Yeah.
You know, with everybody still there, you know, that's not getting taken away from him. You know, he's still experiencing turning up and getting in, having that goes on in the dressing room.
You obviously had a heart scare 5 years ago, so I know you've type 1 diabetic too. So were those factors influential too in the decision, or did you just feel as though, you know, the time was right?
No, I think in terms of the heart thing, I think when obviously I get diagnosed with that was kind of the start of obviously looking to what would be next. I think from then obviously clubs were probably a bit put off by me obviously with the health conditions as you would imagine. In terms of diabetes, it's took a lot of work to have that kind of that rigorous routine that I've had for such a long time. It does take its toll after the years. So I think in terms of my diabetes and that moving forward now, it's easier for me to control it when I'm not having to play at a certain level every whether that's Tuesday, Thursday and a Saturday testing. In terms of dieting as well, the carbohydrates do have an effect on your diabetes, so it's much easier for me with less carbohydrates, and the body looks better.
Was it a harder one having to deal with it, knowing that the supporters didn't know about it? You know, you were dealing it, but supporters didn't know what was going on in your life away from football.
Yeah, I would say that was because you're constantly getting asked questions, what's up with you, and then I think eventually I done a kind of press release and obviously got to what the problem was. But I think once you obviously come back for that, your next challenge was, can I come back for this, can I play again? And I did do that at Hibs. I still had some great memories at Hibs after that, but I think for me, in terms of the career, I think it was naturally started to drop off from then.
I imagine too, you must have had a degree of apprehension going back after that.
Not really. I think that's just the competitor in you. I think it was just more the challenge of getting back on the park, saying that you'd overcame something. I think it's the wee things in your makeup that probably get you into first teams and all these sort of things in the process. So, listen, I can look back in my career, be really proud of it in terms of the health things at the side, but just some of the clubs I've played for, some of the memories I've had, obviously friends I've made. But as Roughie says, the fact I had something just to transition in, that does soften that a little bit.
Day-to-day life a bit different?
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, a lot of my work's at night now, so I get to go to the gym in the morning, so I can't complain. Still looking after myself in that sense, but yeah, different. Obviously, with the media stuff and coaching, they're now obviously at part-time level. A lot of the stuff's at night. I'm getting to watch a lot of football, which I love doing, and I still get the joy of a Saturday at 3 p.m, but from a different perspective.
Was coaching always part of the picture for you? Was there always an intention to go down that path?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, for me, was just getting that as much experience as possible. I think I've chosen the right club with that. We play a lovely brand of football, which a lot of teams have seen. I think a lot of fans have seen over pre-season as well, but we're still hoping to improve in that. We've got aspirations as well as a club, which hopefully if things go well, we'll be able to see the fruits of that over the next few years. But listen, I think for me, it's just been a club that's been very welcome to me, and it's given me a chance to obviously develop my coaching.
See yourself as a manager one day?
Potentially, yeah. I think as I say, it's just about getting that experience. It's two complete different things. I would probably, if I was a manager, I'd probably seen a lot of things I didn't like in myself when I was playing. So it's been a learning curve, and there'll be a lot more learning to come.
I dare say too, in a situation like that, and you've had a taste of management yourself, and coaching, when you're the change and going into thinking about yourself and preparing for yourself to then going in and managing a body of people and trying to oversee everything must be quite challenging.
Yeah, I think what you do is when you go into that side, as Scott says, you try and pick things that people, whatever clubs you're at, whatever. There's good managers, bad managers. There's good coaching and coaching you didn't enjoy, but you try to pick the ones that you did enjoy, and hopefully the guys that you're managing enjoy it as well. That's the good thing about it. But the game has changed so much now. There's like everything. There's the defensive coach, there's a striker coach, there's things that weren't happening in my day. So I'm sure it must be great for the individual positions on the park.
Who would be your most influential managers that you played under?
Influential managers? I think the first time, obviously, Brendan Rodgers came to Celtic, was the first time I'd came across a manager who was that in depth in terms of system, and if certain outcomes happened in a game, how you would combat that. So I probably learned a lot from him in terms of an analysis room, all these sort of things. But Dan Ashworth, when I first went to West Brom, who's highly thought of down in England, he was a big impact on me in terms of looking at the game a bit differently. And obviously your Neil Lennons and that one-on-one management style, that it certainly got the best out of me. And so you take from all the good ones, and there was some bad ones in there where I've took a lot from too. But I think that's part of the experience. There's a lot of things in my career that I maybe didn't agree on the time, but now looking at it from a different lens, you could quite possibly see why that was the case. So it's been very interesting. Okay,
well, most managers at the minute will still be looking towards the window. It's been a fairly slow but steady maybe stream of incoming players to clubs. It may well heat up now laterally getting into the last month of the window. But Scott, what's it like being a player in that situation when you're going into the start of a campaign but there's still a lot of noise around you? How unsettling is it when you know that you've still got a job to do for a club, but that you're maybe fielding calls and speculation and a lot of noise around your position?
I think that depends what age you are. I think obviously the more experienced players have been through this, seen these sort of situations, but I think as a young player it can be difficult. Obviously if you're thinking of you're going on to more money, a bigger club, then your head starts to turn. Agents start to tell you maybe watch yourself in training, so you might not get the full benefit of the pre-season. So there's lots of factors in there in terms of why it could be different for each individual. But you look at a Lennon Miller, for instance, who's been linked away, and I think we might see him go. He's a player who's been so consistent for Miller over the last few years. One of our emerging talents, you would like to think he's obviously chats with his dad who's been through it in football. You can imagine he's looked after himself properly, whereas I've seen at other clubs guys really not turn up for training to try and force a move. So it can be different for different people, but you just don't know in terms of what situations they're going through.
Do you expect it to start getting a bit busier, roughly, across the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think so. I think if, particularly at Celtic, I think the Celtic supporters are just like usual. You know, they see all that money that's banked and they want it spent. You know, they want quality coming in. You know, but I think the powers that be at Celtic, you know, control that. You know, but I'm sure there should be 2 or 3 players coming in. There are positions that need strengthened. Obviously, the wide positions have been taken away from them. So it'll be interesting to see how it's going. I don't think for a minute that Celtic are going to say, right, there's nobody else coming in. I think Rangers have done a really good job identifying players. When a new manager comes in, you always wait, where's he going to identify players from? And it's where he's come from. You know, it's players on loan or players that he's come up against. So time will tell on that one. But I think on most of the other clubs, I was saying the other day there, I'm expecting Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts to have a better start than what they did last year. I think with them being so poor last year, I think it took away the excitement of who was going to break, maybe break the top 2. But I hope this year they get themselves organised and it's right for the start.
You mentioned Lennon Miller. This is probably the second or third window that he's had to deal with that and the speculation. This time it looks as though, you know, he probably will go. Do you think a move abroad is maybe the right move for him?
Yeah, I think if you look at the trajectory of obviously your Lewis Ferguson going over there, Josh Doig from Hibs, you obviously see internationals in terms of Billy Gilmore, McTominay at a higher level. But I think that in terms of the next stage of his development, I think that would be perfect for a player of his ability.
In his position just now, it's felt incessant since the window opened, just all the chat about who's interested. I think every press conference we've been at about Motherwell, there's inevitably a question about what's coming next and where he's going. Do you think he'll just be sick of listening to people? You go out with your mates and people are saying to you, where are you going, what are you doing, or are you linked with Celtic, are you linked with a move away? Does it get to a point where you just think, actually, I can't talk about this anymore?
He's probably locked himself in the house. No, listen, there is, by the amount of time it's been going on, yes, he will be frustrated and need to answer questions, but I think in terms of his performances, it kind of reflects his personality. I have been round him in terms of training sessions throughout my mate who runs an academy in Falkirk. He's a level-headed kid, he always has been, and I think that maturity in him you see on the pitch, it kind of transpires to away from the game as well. So
I think the good thing as well is he obviously has an agent, but he's got a dad and all.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 people he can bounce off, and then he's got to be the one that decides who's looking after my future here. You know, so that'll be a big decision.
I think there was a lot of Celtic fans wanted to see him maybe going in and identifying him long term as maybe like Callum McGregor replacement. Do you think what he needs now is to be going somewhere where he's guaranteed to be playing every week?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't think there's anywhere you're guaranteed to be playing. I think that ultimately comes down to performance, as we just spoke about there, in terms of his mentality and his maturity in the pitch. I think the way he plays, I think it suits him going abroad. I think that for the next part of his development, I think it's perfect for him. That's not to say he can't come back and maybe like a club like Celtic, Rangers in a few years' time, but I think at this moment in time, abroad would be perfect for him.
Do you remember that summer prior to your move to Celtic? I think that was late in the window and all kind of discourse going on and chat. Do you remember how distracting it was?
Yeah, it was one of the points in my life where I genuinely just wanted an answer. I did such a good year at Hibs as well, where you felt you were starting to upset people you became friends with as well because of all the stuff surrounding it, and it became a bit of a circus. But listen, ultimately it is part of the game when you are linked, especially with bigger clubs, especially with your Celtic and Rangers of this world. So I just think it's part of the game, especially here. That's
a part of the game though that we don't necessarily see, or people on the outside you don't see. You just see, oh, you're linked with X club. But that's a really interesting point you made there about upsetting people that you're friends with. Like, you forget that there are human relationships and human lives that it affects at the core of it.
Yeah, but I think football is such a ruthless industry. Sometimes it can quite possibly go the other way when they're not going so well, and the people you've made friends with are trying to get you out the door. So I've had that as well. So listen, I think you just got to come to terms with the fact that that's just how the game works now.
I think sometimes as well it's your family as well. Your family want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And if you're fortunate enough that your family are football people, then they understand it a bit more. I remember one time when I was linked to go to Man City, and I got a paper in the morning. It was a Daily Record. It was. This is just to let you know that don't believe everything. Transfer wise, I mean, not every story. And in the morning it was by late tonight, Alan Roughie will be a Manchester City player. So I went away to training, and I come back. My wife had all the bags packed. I says, "What are you doing?" She says, "We're going to Manchester." I says, "Don't believe everything you're reading that paper." I'm telling you.
That's incredible.
Just read it.
Just read it to go.
That's the thing as well. You
just take it for granted if she wasn't.
Especially back then.
Well, yeah.
Just have to go. But in terms of what's been done so far in the window, and I would suspect we'll see very different starting lineups come the beginning of September than what we're seeing now. But is it far too early to make assessments and judgments on squads, not just for who might go and win the title now or challenge for the title between Celtic and Rangers, but also who might go down?
I think if you look at the Celtic team, I don't think you'll be too far away from picking the 11. You know, there's going to be the goalkeeper, the same two. Tierney's going to be a full-back. I think another centre-half coming in. The three in the midfield will be the same. Two wide ones, we're all waiting, and we're waiting in a big striker.
Do you think Engels starts the season over Nygren?
I think it depends what he's doing behind the scenes. You know, I think obviously the manager's got to make a shout, but I think the biggest shout is the number 9. You know, somebody's got to come in and convince everybody that they are the number 9, because Maida's done particularly well, but I think with the lack of wide players, you'll find him out wide again, which he's not going to let you down. So it's the Rangers that are the ones that have changed it dramatically. If you're a Rangers supporter, you must be so excited by all these new players that are coming in.
Although I think Russell Martin has said that he still anticipates quite a bit of movement between now and the end of the window too, Scott.
Yeah, I think Rangers, for me, still need another 2 or 3 players in, certainly to bolster the squad. As for Celtic, I think the kind of key talk over the last couple of weeks has been, it will be McGregor and Hatate, and then who's the third one going to be? Is it going to be Nygren? Is it going to be Engels? So that will be interesting.
We'll get Bernardo there too.
Yeah, but I think it'll be between Engels and Nygren. Bernardo probably, unfortunately, hasn't really had a real run of games to kind of show how good he can be. Obviously Portuguese under 21 international, but that shows you the strength that Celtic have. I still think Rangers need 2 or 3 even to bolster the squad. And then you look at the clubs out with, you look at Hearts, I think they're sitting with 30 odd first team players, which isn't, for Dale McInnes, isn't a hard thing isn't an easy thing to navigate.
A really bloated squad that you're...
Yeah, and they'll listen, only a certain amount can make a match day squad. It's how you keep them all happy, which is a difficult thing, I think. Obviously, Bravo coming in looks a real player. Seen him first hand when we played him at East Kilbride in a friendly, and then.
You impressed with it?
Yeah, I was impressed. I think they'll be completely different this year. Hearts think I think they'll have a bit of steel about them, and that wee bit of quality. I think it makes for a good mix. I think Hibs. I like the 2 signings in McGrath and Josh Mulligan. Fantastic away performance last week as well. So. I think the Hibs fans will be really excited for what the season's going to bring as well. You
mentioned a number 9 for Celtic, Roughie. They don't tend to come cheap.
No, they don't. But we're waiting to see if he's going to persevere with the number 9 that's there. If he's given regular games, is he going to score goals? You know, and he's proved that he can score goals. He didn't play that many games last year, but I think he scored about 19 or 20.
22.
Aye. So is he the kind of player, given the chance to play every week, he's going to score a barrel load? But I think, as I said earlier in the show, I think Celtic supporters keep looking at that pot of gold, and we should be going out and buying a striker. I don't know who the striker would be.
Would you go out and buy one?
I don't know. It's a hard one, because if he doesn't hit the ground running,
it's the first question they're going to ask.
You know, if they don't, they go, why didn't you? There must be hundreds of strikers out there with a European pedigree. Okay, it might cost 10 million, 11.
And that's gone back to January, that question, wasn't it? When Kyogo left, that's kind of been the whole...
Kyogo wasn't replaced when he... And the thing with that was that Brendan Rodgers gave every indication that weekend in January that there was a replacement lined up, that it was coming in, and then of course it didn't happen. So do you think they would have enough to go with just Maida and Idah, and then if you take into account too...
I think the two wide players been missing is the biggest one, you know, because if you look at Celtic's success has been for the wide areas. It's been the pace in the wide areas, it's been the quality of ball into the box, you know, that defenders can't defend because the guy that's in there is half a yard sharper than the rest of them. That's right, and that's been taken away. Okay, you put Idah back out there, he'll do the job, but I think they are the biggest one. And every time you pick up a paper, Brendan Rodgers looking at a winger. I mean, how many wingers can you bring in?
Well, he's 2 down, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Brings in a couple of wingers, it means that you've still got the option of Idah playing through.
Still think they need a centre half. I recognise. I think the boy Scales has done tremendously well since he's went in, because I think well, he's not made his mind up with him. No, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. You know, but time will tell.
What do you think, Scott, as a player in a dressing room? Do you welcome new players coming? You relish the competition, but also enjoy the fact that, you know, there's maybe some quality and fresh blood coming into a squad?
Yeah, I think in terms if they can affect the squad in terms of quality. The problem you've got with signings coming from different places is how quickly they can settle, how quickly they can adapt to obviously the our league, which is, listen, as much as we take a bit of criticism here and there, it's exciting, it's physical, and there's some quality in there as well. So I think as a player, yes, you guys come in your position, then that obviously you'd hope that it brings out the best in you. But if I take Celtic for example, I think Hatate and Cal McGregor just picked themselves. Nonetheless, I think they've been the two kind of outstanding performers for Celtic. That striker position, I really don't know what Brendan Rodgers does. Whether I think, but when you listen to his interviews from January, I think he prefers Idah. I think he likes the work he does backwards out in the wing. I think so. Naturally, he'll want to get another striker in because he feels that's where he's maybe more effective all round for the Celtic team. Yamada, seen flashes of him last week, like clever, like really fast again, running off the shoulder. But like Roughie says, they probably need another winger in and quickly, I think.
You mentioned Hatate. Are you surprised that no one's come in for Rio Hatate? Are there still time yet, possibly?
Yeah, I think what we've noticed over the years is it's the players that dictate when they want to go. You know, if he's happy where he is, obviously bids do come in. Agents sort of, tamper with him a wee bit. It looked as if he was going to go, but I mean, if it's not going to happen to him, he's young enough. He might just say, well, I'm really excited playing here. I'm winning cups. So fans love me. I'm playing every week. So I'm quite happy to be here. But there will be a time when some of them use it to move on, but I don't think he's there yet. Okay,
moving on. Well, Celtic, of course, will raise the flag on Sunday afternoon at 4:30, and a really staggered start to the campaign. So you have 2 games on Saturday afternoon. We've got 3 on Sunday, and then you've got Hearts, Aberdeen at Tynecastle on Monday night. Are you a traditionalist, Roughie? Would you prefer a 3 o'clock across the board on a Saturday afternoon for the first day of the season?
Well, obviously when I played it was 3 o'clock. There wasn't any other time. There wasn't any variation, so I think a bit of variety. Sometimes you kick off at 3 o'clock every time. You get a wee bit stale, so I think moving it about, you just, as a player, you just adapt to it. There's nothing you can do about it. If the clubs decide to take the money off the TV, then that's when the dates are good.
You also have European games to factor in, obviously. Hibs will play Thursday night, Rangers are playing tonight. These are factors in it as well, but are you excited for the start of the season, Scott?
Yeah.
A different kind of start to a season?
A different kind of start, I think for me, looking at Hibs, Aberdeen and Hearts, I think there's going to be a real battle between they 3 to see who's going to be the best. And as always, it will be between Rangers and Celtic, and in my opinion, I just think the squads are a bit too strong. You're looking at Russell Martin coming in, change of shape, obviously change of personnel. Brendan Rodgers in his third season. Can he get Celtic going again for another title win? So listen, and at the bottom, obviously Presley's came into Dundee. I think it could be I looked at the players they'd lost over the last 2 seasons. He's got a real challenge on his hand.
It's also difficult too when you feel as though you're under pressure immediately. It wasn't a particularly popular appointment when he got the job at Dens Park, and then obviously that early League Cup defeat, and then you're out and you're almost trying to swim against the tide. Convincing people why you're the right guy.
Yeah, you don't want to go into a club, on a negative bit. Obviously they got a couple of bad results there, but you got a good win. I think the supporters will be good enough to hang on in there. And I always think there's a massive Dundee support up there just waiting, you know, in a successful Dundee team. I just mean top 6 or something like that. I think they'll get right behind the club. But I just think they're in a transition period, and there's too many players leaving.
Lost their best players. Lost
you
their
know,
best players, Roughie.
and it's having to play. They got a couple of good loan players in, the wee boy Beck, and he went away, and then... That's right. You know, so relying on a lot of experience and tapping into, you know, if it's going to be loans, then so be it.
The first thing too, obviously, is the derbies come early this campaign. How much will they set a tone? And I'm thinking, like, you've got Hearts and Hibs, of course, and Celtic and Rangers, the Dundee derbies. How much do the first derby set a tone for what goes on to follow throughout the campaign?
For me, I think the other games are just as important, but I think the first game, it's a case of you're sussing each other out. There's still obviously 3 more to be played, so I don't think it has a massive impact in terms of where you'll be end of the season, but I think it's the bragging rights that come with it, obviously sussing out each team's obviously system. But in terms of the overall picture come end of the season, I don't think the first fixture plays a massive part in where teams will finish.
I think there was a start, and I'm happy to be corrected, but that whoever came out on top with the first Celtic Rangers game of the campaign then almost always goes on to win the league. I think Ange
I'll take that back then.
I think Ange Postecoglou bucked it. I think obviously he lost his first game at Ibrox, then went on and won the league, but I think it is seen as a kind of barometer of what's about to follow. But even just in terms of setting a tone, Roughie, how important do you think those games are?
Well, I think last year, if you think back, you know, at one stage everybody was saying, the games Rangers and Celtic will determine who's going to win the league, because Hibs and Hearts and Aberdeen weren't challenging. Yeah. So, and the both of them were beating all the other teams quite easily, so everybody was saying their games are going to be important, but they didn't really turn out to be that way, you know. But I think
it goes back to your point. You can't just turn up for one game. You've got to be doing it.
All the other games are just as important.
Yeah, and for me, you always want to win a derby game. Unfortunately, I never won one at Hibs, so at 16 and never won one.
That's a crazy start, that.
I know, isn't it? It's mental. I looked at the boy sent me the other day, asked this historian to send me every game, goal scorers and everything, and it was all there in black and white. Lost
Did
9.
you ever draw?
Lost 9, drew 7.
How many conceded?
I never looked at
that. What was your record in the Edinburgh derby?
I genuinely don't know, but I knew I did win a few, so a few good ones in there. Obviously.
What was your favourite moment?
I'd say the one at Easter Road, 2-0. Scored a volley.
Left foot?
Left foot, yeah, bottom corner. And then maybe the Boxing Day one, away at Tynecastle, Martin Boyle scored 2.
At Neil Lennon's?
That was Jack Ross. Yeah, Martin Boyle with 2 on the day, and a very good night that was on Boxing Day in George Street.
The Hearts and Hibs derbies promise to be quite intriguing this season. If you think Denny McInnes is going to go in and want to make his mark. Hibs, of course, have finished 3rd. You expect them to be quite tasty this season? Yeah,
I would expect him to. I think obviously Dave Gray obviously got a win under his belt in that tie last season. I think Dale McInnes coming in, it's a way to obviously adhere yourself to the Hearts fans, and listen, he knows how to get some wins when he needs one. Derek McInnes, such an experienced manager, and seen everything in Scottish football, so it'll be very interesting. But sometimes when it's meant to be very interesting, it ends up a dull affair, so I'm hoping that's not the case.
I don't want that. Are these the games where reputations are forged, do you think, Roughie?
Individually? Well, if you score a winning goal, you know, the fans will love you to the next game. And what happens in between. But, you know, I mean, everybody talks about Rangers Celtic derbies, but Hibs Hearts is just as big in the city. You know, that it's when you're going down Princes Street, you want to get down practically walking on the road if you've won, and I've had that opportunity. I used to hide up in Rose Street. I wouldn't get into it. But no, I think winning any derby, whether it's Dundee or Glasgow or Edinburgh or whatever, it's a great feeling, and the supporters enjoy it as well.
Just before we go, if you had a wish list for this season, both of you, what would it be?
I keep harping back. I just hope Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts can put up a decent challenge. I'm not saying they're going to split them, but I would like to see there's at some stage in the season we might say, oh, they could split them this year. They're that good, which would be refreshing for Scottish football.
Do you see that coming to pass?
I think the fact Aberdeen and Hibs have the European ties, how they get off to start the season is going to play a big part in that. For me, I want to see just a closer title run in general. Games mattering right up until the split and including the split. So just give us lots of goals, please. That'll do for me.
Nice to see a title race go all the way to the wire.
Yeah, I'm sure both sets of supporters would love that. It keeps the excitement going for everybody, even for us.
Brilliant. Well, that's all we've got time for this afternoon. Thanks to Roughie, thanks to Scott Allan, thanks to you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, you'll get so much more in PLZ Premium.